question on the table is, does Yahweh hate human sacrifice? The secondary question is, can human sacrifice equal atonement? Two-part question. First one is the primary. Does Yahweh hate human sacrifice? And that's going to be the easiest one to answer. But the question that's in the back of everybody's mind, on the side of my brethren who subscribe to Tanakh only, understandably so, is, can human sacrifice equal atonement? Before we answer any questions, today's presentation is about human sacrifice and whether or not they are abhorred or hated by Yahweh. No more, no less. That's it. I want everybody to focus on the topic at hand, because what we want to do going forward at Fire of God is, we don't want to open floodgates. We don't want to muddy waters. We want to make sure that when there's a conversation being had, it's had until it can't be had anymore, and that what's understood don't need to be further explained. Right? That's what Fire is all about. It says, and this will be the first in a series geared toward dispelling common misunderstandings about the Old Testament scriptures in order to bridge a gap between Tanakh and the New Testament writings. Now, through the Spirit of the Most High, I'm chilling with Yah, my wife, kicking back, and I see that Signetter's live on his channel asking the same question. And you know what I see? I see Israelites, I see Christians, and they're trying to defend Yahweh, and they're trying to excuse certain things because it looks like he condones human sacrifices to the onlookers and the spectators that want to dismiss the Bible or want to say that something's wrong with the Bible, want to say that something's wrong with the events that occur in the Torah. And these whys and these what ifs, they're obviously driven by ignorance. They're obviously driven by cultural divides and these casts that are put over our scriptures. So it's our responsibility as stewards to give the right answers and make sure people have the right understanding. So it shows me that the Most High really got the correct thing going today in us putting this presentation together and visiting this topic. So before we step foot in the chapters and verses, we must first identify what we are looking for. This way, we will look at three key phrases, two of which are closely related and will point us toward exactly what sacrifice is and the different types of atonement the Tanakh speaks of. So the first word we want to look at is sabak. Zabak, this is Strong's H2076. Sometimes it's translated in the offer. Let's see. The definition is to slaughter an animal, usually in a sacrifice, to kill, offer, do sacrifice, or slay a sacrifice. Slaughter, sacrifice, slaughter for eating, for divine judgment. Is translated to sacrifice or sacrificed over 75 times in the King James Bible. It's translated to offer or offered over 30 times in the King James Bible. As you can see below in the lower half of the screenshot on the left, you can see all the times that it's translated and the different words that it's translated to. This is important because we want to be transparent about the words we're talking about. Each word we're going to look into isn't going to be these three main ones, but these three main ones they're just important. You know, I feel like we're heavy-handed in seeing them in the scripture, so we might as well visit those directly. Okay. If you look in the Concise Hebrew and Aramaic Lexicon of the Old Testament by William L. Holland, who is the editor, look, you get the same consistent information. And I found out when looking in this lexicon for all of the words that we're visiting today, the findings are very consistent with what you'll find in the Strongs. So I don't utilize it too much more. But the slaughter of large or small cattle, right? Slaughter of communion, sacrifice. Sacrifice is made, other nouns referring to sacrifice. Leaven. Look, you could just look at it, give you a chance to glimpse over it. Whom sacrifice is offered. So let's go forward. So let's look at the word in action. Now we want to see the word actively used. We don't want to just loosely say that we see it here and there, but we want to see it in action, in motion. So let's look at Exodus 5, verses 1 through 5 in the King James Version. It says, and afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus saith Yahweh God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not Yahweh, neither will I let Israel go. And they said, the God of the Hebrews hath met us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yahweh our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, wherefore do you, Moses and Aaron, let the people go from their works? Get you unto your burdens. And Pharaoh said, behold, the people of the land now are many, and you make them rest from their burdens. Long story short, that word sacrifice, where it says in verse 3, let us go and sacrifice to our God, that word highlighted in yellow, that's the word zabak. That's it in action. Let's look at another one. Exodus 3 and 17. Let's just zero in on verse 18. And they shall hearken into thy voice, and thou shalt come, and the elders of Israel unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto them, Yahweh God of the Hebrews hath met us. And now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice unto Yahweh our God. This is the word Zabak again. Let's look at it in action a few more times. We got Deuteronomy 16 and 6. We got 1 Samuel 2 and 19. We got 1 Samuel 2 and 21. It says, but at the place where Yahweh thy God shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, and the going down of the sun, at the season that thou comest forth out of Egypt. In 1 Samuel 2 and 19, it says, moreover, his mother made him a little coat and brought to him year to year when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. 1 Samuel 1 and 21, it says, and the man Elkanah and his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. Now, the next word we're going to look at is kafar, right? What is this word used for? Kafar, Strong's H37 and 22's definition is to cover, to expiate, to atone for guilt, to contone, to placate, to cancel, to appease, to cleanse, to disannul, forgive, to be merciful, pacify, pardon, pitch, purge away, put off, make reconciliation, pacify, propitiate. I want you to remember these phrases, because this is not all about keywords and definition. Oftentimes we make a mistake in just stopping there, and I'm going to explain why in a couple slides. It's been translated to atonement 64 times in the King James Version, and about 30 times in the words that denote purging, reconciling, or pardoning. Again, this is the word kafar. I'm going to give you a moment to take a look at it. On the left-hand side, the screenshot. All right. Moving forward, let's look at the word in action. Again, this is kafar, Strong's H37 and 22. Exodus 30 and 15 says, the rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel, when they give an offering unto Yahweh to make an atonement for your souls. Exodus 30 and 16. And thou shalt take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before Yahweh, to make an atonement for your souls. Exodus 32 and 30. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto Yahweh. Peradventure, I shall make an atonement for your sins. Leviticus 1 and 4. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. Right? Those words highlighting yellow. Again, these are the words that are translated from the word in question. Kafar. Leviticus 12. We're going to look at verse 7. Who shall offer it by Yahweh and make an atonement for her? Right, so we can see that this word is used pretty heavy-handedly. We find it in Psalms 79, 6 and 11, or 6 and 9 is the verse is located at. The third word we're going to look at is Kippur, like Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This is Strong's H 37 and 25. The definition is expiation or atonement in the plural sense. So this word is used particularly for atonement for many. So let's look at it in action. Exodus 29 and 36. And thou shalt offer every day a bullock for a sin offering for atonement. And thou shalt cleanse the altar when thou hast made atonement for it. And thou shalt anoint it and sanctify it. Chapter 30, verse 16. And thou shalt take the atonement money of the children of Israel. Leviticus 23 and 27. Also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement, and it shall be a holy convocation. And we see it used actively a few more times, two more times in the book of Leviticus. We see it used another time in the book of Numbers. It's pretty consistent. Fourth word, because I had to throw in this bonus one. This one is also interesting because there's actually several words used for offering and sacrifice and so on and so forth. But this one is pretty interesting as well. It's Olah, Strong's H 59 and 30. So the definition is to ascend up or to holocaust as going up in smoke, burnt offering, sacrifice. It's translated to offering 169 times in the King James, and offerings 77 times. That's pretty slanted. You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty heavy-handed use. Now, as per usual, you can look to the left-hand side. We're going to be transparent. You can see its use for yourself. You look at that screenshot. This way, you can kind of map out the research that you're going to do independently if you want to go, say, look into these words for yourself, right? Moving on. So, Olah, Strong's H 5930 in action. In Genesis 22 and 2, it says, and he said, take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him therefore a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell thee of. Burnt offerings. Olah. Genesis 22 and 3. It says, and Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took two of his young men with him and Isaac his son and clave the wood for the burnt offering and rose up and went up into the place which God had told him. Genesis 22 and 7. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, my father. And he said, here am I, my son. And he said, behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? So we're not confused about how this word is used either, right? We really don't see any alternate uses for Olah. And that's something I want to key on as well. So we see more uses. We see about 5 more here. Exodus 29 and 18, Exodus 40 and 6, Leviticus 1 and 4, Leviticus 4 and 29, Leviticus 4 and 34. Look at this one. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and shall pour out all the blood thereof at the bottom of the altar. So now that we've had a look at these words in action, we can safely make a couple conclusions. Sacrifice, or zabak, as in Strong's H 2076, means to slaughter an animal, usually in sacrifice, kill, offer, or do sacrifice, or slay a sacrifice, slaughter for sacrifice, slaughter for eating, for divine judgment, and can be given as a burnt offering. Olah, Strong's H 5930. It can sometimes be done for atonement, as in Kippur, Strong's H 3725, and Kafar, Strong's H 3744, or peace. So why is this important? Is because we want to start to bridge gaps. What I want to do is create a difference between definitions and concepts. Sometimes we hear concepts or we hear a word, right? And we have our own definition for it. That means we have our own concept. We're going to explore what a concept is versus definition. The reason why we want to be respectful of the concepts, King, is because culturally there are different concepts, right? You might describe an action. Say, let's talk about Abraham. Let's say God told Abraham, go ahead and sacrifice your only son. You know what I'm saying? The events occur the same way that they occur in the Bible, and he doesn't do it, right? What you could call that in America is attempted murder, right? So somebody can describe, I went up to the mountain to sacrifice my only son, and God said, don't. Well, that could be attempted murder if somebody wanted to plead the case. And that's because of the culture. You see what I'm saying? So we want to make sure we're looking at what the culture is saying and that we're not making things up on our own. This is the way that we will bridge the gap between the ancient language and the modern is by taking a look at etymology. Sacrifice, late 13th century, the offering of something especially a life, to a deity as an act of propitiation. We're going to look a little bit about that word propitiation. That's important as well. For propitiation, homage, etc. Mid 14th century, that which is offered to a deity in sacrifice. Let's see, from the Old French, sacrifice, offering. 12th century, from the Latin, sacrificium, from sacrificius, performing priestly functions or sacrifices. Etymologically, making scared, from sacra, sacred rites, properly neuter plural of sacer or sacred. See sacred, a combining form of facere, to make, to do, the root to set, put, originally especially of Christ's propitiation offerings of himself for the world. That's a superimposition. So we're going to look over that. This is how the world views Christ. So that's a culture within itself. The main thing that we want to honor is the etymology of the word, not what history says about where the word is used in a religious sense, because that's, obviously there's bias in there. Sacrificium is glossed in Old English by goodness, the general sense of act of giving up a desirable thing for a higher object or to a more pressing claim. So this is important right here. The act of giving up a desirable thing for a higher object or to a more pressing claim. You sacrifice time for what? Money. You sacrifice what you want for those you love, right? It's an exchange. Something given up for the sake of another is recorded from the 1590s baseball sense, a hit made by the batter not to get himself a base, but to enable another player to advance. 1880. Right, let's do this further as a concept. Now that we have defined these words Hebraically and we have seen them in action, we must make sure we're actually nailing down the concepts of sacrifice or even atonement before we can address the topic properly. I can't stress this enough, family. If we watch this with a bias, if we watch this without the willingness to nailing down the concept or agreeing to the concept, then we miss the whole point, right? So what is a concept? A concept is an abstract idea or a general notion. You understand that? A notion. A concept, and this is the difference between a concept and a definition. We want to make sure we paint this contrast pretty clear. A concept is a mental representation of an idea or an object, while a definition is a specific statement that explains the meaning of that concept or word. In essence, a concept is the what in our minds, and the definition is how we express it verbally, right? So let's say I say wife to a Chinaman, and he don't speak no English. He's not going to understand that I'm talking about a woman and a woman that I'm married to. So I would have to find other ways, maybe even sign language, to get this idea of cross. but there's a point that we'd be able to get to where he would understand it, because in concept, there's marriage everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? There is the binding of male and female everywhere. So the concept of marriage exists where that word may not. This is why we have different languages. This is why we have translations. You understand what I'm saying? So let's elaborate further. Concepts. A concept is a general idea or understanding that we have about something. It's the mental image, the way we perceive and think about an object, idea, or process. For example, the concept of a dog includes your mental picture of a dog, your understanding of what defines a dog: four legs, fur, um, and your knowledge of different breeds. Definition, however, definition is a statement that provides the exact meaning of a term or concept. It's the formal explanation of what a term refers to or what a concept entails. For example, a definition of a dog might state a dog is a domestic mammal of the canine family, typically kept as a pet and known for its loyalty and ability to bark. Relationship. A definition is a way of expressing a concept. We use definitions to clarify and communicate. All right. So let's look at the other examples here. Concept. The concept of justice is a mental idea of fairness and righteousness. Right? Definition. The definition of justice might be: justice is a fair and equitable treatment of all people according to the law. Here's another concept. The concept of happiness is a mental state of well being and contentment. The definition, however, is: the definition of happiness might be happiness in a state of well being characterized by positive emotions, feelings of satisfaction, and a sense of purpose. This introduction is about making sure that we are holistically gathering concepts from the text we're going to discuss and apply the proper definitions to them, as opposed to approaching with our own concepts or preconceived notions and missing what's actually presented to us. So before moving further, the topic of tonight's presentation, it's important to first address the elephant in the room directly. But answering the question, does Yahweh hate human sacrifice? While the answer is no, it's important to acknowledge that there are human sacrifices he certainly does reject. Leviticus 18 and 21 and Deuteronomy 18 and 10 both speak of a disdain Yahweh has for anyone who will make or let his sons and daughters pass through the fire unto Molech or any other gods, right? That's something that we can all agree on. Without the shadow of a doubt, these are sacrifices Yahweh hates, but in no way can we say this means Yahweh hates human sacrifice. Like, let me put the fire emoji, give me the fire emojis in the chat if you're with me so far, whether you agree or disagree. Has this been concise and informative so far? Are we creating a path that anybody can follow? Are we creating a safe space to come to an understanding together? Fire emojis in the chat for that. Let's be honest. Fire emojis in the chat for that. All praises to the Most High, man. What we got in here? We got the brother Zamron in the building. Shalom to the brother Zamron. Praises to the Most High. All praises. We got Urania in the building. Shalom to the brother Urania. We got Gideon in the building. Shalom to the brother Gideon. We got Kadazak Ariana in the building. Shalom. 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 And then everybody in the chat, please know I ain't been watching the chat like that because the chat is in my phone and the presentation is on my screen. Brother Zamran, if you saluted me and I didn't see it, Salaki, brother. All praises to the Most High. So let's move a little further. So we're going to look at a case now, right? Case 1A, Judges chapter 11, verse 29 through 40. And we really going to read through this through the Spirit of the Most High. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe too. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. So Judges 11, verse 29 through 40. If it's hard to see on the screen, pull it up in your scripts. It says, then the Spirit of Yahweh came on Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and passed over Mizpah of Gilead, and from Mizpah up Gilead he passed over unto the children of Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto Yahweh and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon unto mine hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be Yahweh's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering, as in Ola. Remember, we went over that word earlier. So there's no mistaking what it means when it says burnt offering. We see that word used in Leviticus when it comes to the sacrifices that the priests send up. So it says in verse 32, so Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and Yahweh delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aurora even till thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, unto the plain, the vineyards, with very great slaughter. Thus saith the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. And Jephthah came to Mizpah unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels, with dances, and she was his only child. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes and said, alas, my daughter, for thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto Yahweh, and I cannot go back. And she said unto him, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto Yahweh, do to me according to that which has proceeded out of my mouth. For as much as Yahweh hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even of the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity and my fellows. And he said, go. And he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed. And she knew no man. And it was a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in a year. So the takeaway of case 1 is this. We can clearly see that Yahweh does not hate human sacrifice in general. And while this was not a sacrifice he asked for, it was a sacrifice he accepted. The proper understanding is that Yahweh hates sacrifices to other gods and sacrifices not offered properly. An example of this is Leviticus 22 and 23. Either a bullock or a lamb that hath anything superfluous or lacking in its parts, that mayest thou offer a free will offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. So there are sacrifices that Yahweh rejects, right? But the one we just read about was a human sacrifice. It was not rejected, it was accepted. And this is the cold part. The Most High designs everything. So when that man vowed that vow, he knew it was going to come out. So you got to make of that what you will. But what we don't want to do is force fit, superimpose, and do too many mental gymnastics. But the logic of it shows us clearly that he does not hate human sacrifice. That's the easy work, right? We want to get into the nitty gritty. Before that, we're going to go for a little break. Look. Let me see this. Let me see. What's going on here? If it's high level, then he would accept Josiah to come on the panel. This live was inspired by Etymology. It's concerned about see only until Josiah can. understand. This is important. The nation wants to hear from both parties and talk about human sacrifice. That's it. That's right, Zamran. It's about human sacrifice, and that's it. I don't know if you talked to Bez, but he hit me up. I told him once the presentation is done, y'all can click up about the presentation, and I'm gonna come on y'all's channel. Y'all can actually hot seat me about the presentation. I don't know if you talked to him about that, but I would make sure that y'all just digest the presentation and get any concerns you have about the information that's presented. And then we'll come together and then have a conversation on your channel about it after the presentation is over. But this is inspired by GOZ. You know, you guys shook things up, and I saw that. Look, we're falling short on being able to answer some of these questions. So, you know, all praises to the Most High for using y'all in that way. So let's get back to the presentation. Let's add it to the stage. Let me do my thing. So case 2A. Case 2A. We're looking at 1 Kings chapter 13, verses 1 through 3. And behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by word of Yahweh unto Bethel. And Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense, and he cried against the altar in the word of Yahweh and said, O altar, altar, thus saith Yahweh, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer, as in the word Zabak, the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. And he shall give a sign the same day, saying, This is the sign which Yahweh hath spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. So right now, we see some striking detail. We went over the word Zabak earlier. It means to slaughter in the name of sacrifice or for food. Those are the two alternatives. Ritual killing, right? So what we got to do is pause. There will be a sacrifice, and it says that the offering will be priests of the high places that burn incense upon the same altars, right? So let's move forward. When we visit the actual events as they occur in 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 15 through 17, it says, Moreover, the altar that was at Bethel and the high place which Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, had made, both that altar and the high place he brake down, and burned the high places, and stamped it small to powder, and burned the grove. And as Josiah turned himself, he spied the sepulchres that were there in the mount, and sent and took the bones out of the sepulchres, and burned them upon the altar, and polluted it according to the word of Yahweh, which the man of God proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. Then he said, What title is that I see? What title is it that I see? And the men of the city told him, It is the sepulchre of the man of God, which came from Judah, and proclaimed these things that thou hast done against the altar of Bethel, and all the house also of the high places that were in the cities of Samaria, which the kings of Israel had made to provoke Yahweh to anger. Josiah took away and did to them according to all the acts that he had done in Bethel, and slew Zabak, all the priests of the high places that were upon the altars, and burned men's bones upon them, and returned to Jerusalem. So what's the takeaway of case 2? Addressing 1 Kings 13, 1 through 3, and 2 Kings 23 to 15 and 17 directly, we do see again that there was a human sacrifice offered, as in Zabak, to Yahweh. We see that it was prophesied to happen, and that afterward Yahweh promised that he was going to end up destroying Judah for the long list of offenses. But if we slow down and consider the previous chapter in verses 15 through 20, Yahweh actually promises Josiah to allow him to see his grave in peace and wait to destroy Judah after his time. And what is this called? This is called a kafar, a temporary kafar, or propitiation, which is definitively peace, pacification, reconciliation, etc., etc. So while in concept, we're not seeing what we think of when we see the Levitical priests and we see somebody coming up with official offerings to the temple from year to year, and we don't see peace offering, we don't see a sin offering. We can't be tied up in that, and we can't be tied up in apocalypto and have this imagery in our mind that tells us that unless a sacrifice is done this way and this way, it is therefore not a sacrifice. It's the actions that occur afterward. It's Yahweh's sentiments afterward, just as much as it's the actions that lead up to it, right? So we use some of these words and we find out if it's fitting the same concept we've been looking for, the concept of sacrifice. Here we see the concept of sacrifice, but furthermore, we see it coupled with the concept of atonement or propitiation. Let's look at 2 Kings 22 and 15, what led up to the events of 2 Kings 23. It says, and she said unto them, thus saith Yahweh, God of Israel, tell the man that sent you to me, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will bring evil upon this place and upon the inhabitants thereof, even all the words of the book which the king of Judah hath read, because they have forsaken me and have burned incense unto other gods, that they might provoke me to anger with the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and shall not be quenched. But the king of Judah, which sent you to inquire of Yahweh, thus shall ye say to him, thus saith Yahweh God of Israel, as touching the words which thou hast heard, because thine heart was tender, and thou hast humbled thyself before Yahweh, when thou heardest what I spake against this place, and against the inhabitants thereof, that they should become a desolation and a curse, and hast rent thy clothes and wept before me, I also have heard thee, saith Yahweh. Behold, therefore, I will gather thee unto thy fathers, and thou shalt be gathered into thy grave in peace. And thine eyes shall not see the evil which I will bring upon this place. And they brought the king word again. So again, this is temporary kafar or propitiation, which is definitively peace, pacification, or reconciliation. Fire emojis in the chat. Fire emojis in the chat. Now, family, I don't want the bickering back and forth in the chat. This is a family event. This is edification for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So personal qualms and things like that, I want brothers to handle their personal qualms via text or on the phone, right? This is not the place for contention. I don't want to see it on the Yahushai side. I don't want to see it on the Tanakh side. At the end of the day, we're commanded to love our brother as ourself, right? So let's have mutual respect for the word and let's table the rest. Can we do that, family? Can we all do that? All praises to the Most High. I want you to understand, man, this is not something that I'm doing to drive contentions. This is not something that I'm doing to bang on somebody else. This is something that I'm doing because we all have a task. And there was a mighty thing that was done in the earth, but we have done a disservice in actually narrating and illustrating what it was and honoring the text that led to what we have today. We're all hindered by not understanding it. That's brothers that do believe in Yahweh Shai and brothers that don't alike. I want you to understand that the brothers that believe in Yahweh Shai at this point are not at an advantage because we don't even believe on Yahweh Shai the correct way. And we're going to be uncovering that in the future as well. So I want everybody to exercise humility and understand that we got a lot of growing to do. And if we want to get out of this wicked ass place, we gotta humble down and do it quick. Right? We gotta humble down and do it quick. So let's keep going. But what do we see here? Let me get ones in the chat if we see temporary propitiation, atonement. Twos in the chat if that's not what we see. Two in the chat if it's something else. And for those that put twos in the chat, let's talk about what it is that we see. If it's not a temporary propitiation, if it's not a one, what is it with your twos? Ones in the chat, twos in the chat. Let's vote up. Come on. It don't matter what side of the aisle you stand on. The true answer is the true answer. Right? What's the truth, y'all? Ones in the chat. If Josiah earned a temporary reconciliation, pacification, temporary peace. Twos in the chat if he didn't. Are we walking together? All praises, all praises. It's hot in the muffin. I'll tell you that. Let's get back to it. So let's take this presentation a step further. The next few cases will be human sacrifices, the general sense of the act of giving up a desirable thing for a higher object or to a more pressing claim. Also, something given up for the sake of another, as recorded in 1590s baseball sense of a hit made by a batter, not to get himself a base, but to enable another player to an advance. Right. Case 3, we're going to look at Deuteronomy 17 and 12. We're going to look at Deuteronomy 22 and 22. Deuteronomy 17 and 12 says, and thou will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before Yahweh thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, that thou shalt put away evil from Israel. So now we're going to focus more on concept versus definition. We're not looking at buzzwords no more. The buzzwords helped us to understand the concept, the pattern that matters, the slang for the ultimate objective, whether it be a sweet savor unto the Most High or for propitiation, right? Now it's not about the buzzwords, it's about the act. Deuteronomy 17:12 says that we need to do this thing so that we can put away evil from Israel. Deuteronomy 22 and 22, if a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shall thou put away evil from Israel. We're being told that this is done so that we could put away evil from Israel. Let's look at case 4, Numbers 35 verses 30 through 33. This is a powerful one. This is for the greater good. Remember, the sacrifice is giving up one thing for another thing, right? Whoso killeth any person, the murder shall put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person. Moreover, he shall take no satisfaction, which is he shall surely be put to death. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that sheddeth. This word cleanse is kephar, is closely related to the other kafar we read into. But let's look at the definition of this word. Strong 3722, cleanse. It means to cover, to purge, to make atonement, to make reconciliation, to cover over with pitch, to cover over, pacify, propitiate. You see how the list goes on and on. It's translated to atonement 64 times. It's translated to purge 5 times, reconciliation 4 times, on and on. Why is this important? Is because when you kill a murderer, it is atonement for the blood that was shed in the land, that the land may not be defiled. This sacrifice, the giving of one thing, because blood is precious. Life is precious. You take that life for a life, that the lands may be cleansed, which is defined by a word that represents atonement or reconciliation. So conceptually, sacrifice is required by the Most High. Blood is required by the Most High in this case for the sake of atonement or propitiation. Fire emojis in the chat if you follow me. Fire emojis in the chat if you follow me. Somebody said I'm breaking up, Lord in Christ. Let me get ones in the chat if I'm still breaking up. Twos in the chat if I'm all right. I'm going to try. Am I still breaking up? Am I still breaking up? Let me know. Am I still breaking up? How about now, family? How about now? How about now? 1 if I'm good, 2 if I'm bad. 1 if I'm good, 2 if I'm bad. Better, better. Do I need to run back the last case? Do I need to run back the last case? Let me know. Run it back, Con. I'm gonna run it back. So case 4 is Numbers 35. Yeah, the devil trying to stop this. Am I back? Am I clear? Am I back? Am I clear? All right, so we're gonna try to run this back again. This means that means this presentation is getting good. That means the presentation is getting good. That means it's doing what it's supposed to do. I might have to just run back and record this so it's perfect for everybody. Repost it. So again, the case we're looking at now is case number 4, and it's numbers 35 and 30 through 33. Y'all just let me know if it fall off again. So it says, "Whoso killeth any person, the murder shall be put to death by mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest." It's doing it again. It's doing it again. So everybody can hear me. That's crazy, because I can't see myself or the presentation. That's nuts. How about now though? It's just spirits trying to fuck with this shit. We're gonna keep pressing forward. I'm more motivated than ever now. Praises to the Most High. So we're gonna start over one more time. "Whoso killeth any person, the murder shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. For one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall be surely put to death. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed, but by the blood of him that shed it." So that word cleanse is the word kefar, Strong's H37 and 22. It's another word for atonement. If you look at the screenshot on the right side, it's translated to atonement 64 times. All right. To expiate, to placate, or to cancel, to appease. So there's no mistaking the concept, which is expiation or appreciation, right? You see that? One's in the chat. If you can see the Most High requiring sacrifice, he's requiring the gift, or he's requiring the taking of one thing in exchange for something greater, in exchange for a greater good, to put evil out of the land, to cleanse the land of the blood that is shed in it. One's in the chat if this is a sacrifice or atonement or propitiation. Two's in the chat if it's something else. Two's in the chat if it's something else. Call Allah Yahweh. Call Allah Yahweh. Come on now. This does not have to mean the end of, not only, it doesn't have to be the end of your total belief system, but it most certainly has to be the end of the belief that God hates human sacrifices, because we don't have to have a bias, because we can admit, we can see that there are some human sacrifices God despises. We can see that there are some human sacrifices that God has told the Israelites he better not ever catch them participating in. But we can also see with example after example that not only has he accepted human sacrifices, even burnt offerings of human beings, but the killing, the zabak, for the sake of kafar, sacrifice for atonement, for propitiation. You see how powerful that is? We're going to keep moving. Numbers 25. Numbers 25. This is one of the heaviest ones. Let's read down. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab, and they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. And the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Israel. And Yahweh said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people and hang them up before Yahweh against the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may be turned away from Israel. What is it called when the fierce anger of Yahweh is turned away? There's a concept for this, and it's encapsulated in a few different words. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. And he went after the man of Israel unto the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. God damn it. So we confirmed earlier that atonement is to cover, expiate, or atone for guilt, to condone, to placate, or to cancel, to appease, to cleanse, to disannul, to forgive, to be merciful, to pacify, to pardon, to pitch, purge away, put off, to make reconciliation, to pacify, propitiate. What we see in this passage is pacification, reconciliation, or propitiation in verse 8. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel, because you might be familiar in the Torah, when somebody is leading Israel astray, you're supposed to kill them and have no pity on them. When you have pity on them, that's something the Most High don't like. That's condoning evil. So this act that Phinehas committed, it was sacrificing, it was taking life, and it turned away God's wrath, which is propitiation, if you can receive it. If you can receive it. And those that died in the plague were 20 and 4,000. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, have turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he was zealous. Let's look at Joshua 7. Joshua 7, the implications of this are heavy. This is one of my favorite ones, because it really speaks volumes as to how we need to be accountable in the things that we do, and how we serve the Lord with all our heart and our soul. And when we don't, that half-stepping affects the whole nation. So chapter 7, Joshua. But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed thing. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against kindled against the children of Israel. And Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Bethaven, on the east side of Bethel, and spake unto them, saying, go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said unto him, let not all the people go up, but let about 2 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to labor thither, for they are but few. So this is cold. You know, Israel's on a roll conquering all these mighty nations, and they're thinking Ai, you know, they slipping, there's only a few of them. There's not even a need for the whole army to go up, but they're stopped in their tracks, right? So there went up thither of the people about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men, for they chased them before the gate, even unto Shebraim, and smote them in the going down, wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water. And Joshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of Yahweh unto the eventide, he and the elders of Israel, and put dust upon their heads. And Joshua said, Alas, O Yahweh God, wherefore hast thou at all brought this people over Jordan, to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, to destroy us? Would to God we had been content and dwelt on the other side Jordan? O Yahweh, what shall I say? When Israel turneth their backs before their enemies, for the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, it shall environ around us, and cut off our names from the earth. And what wilt thou do unto thy great name? So let's keep going. Verse 11, it says, Israel has sinned, and they also transgressed my covenant, which I have commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled. Also, they have put it even among their own stuff. Therefore, the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies. Let me see. Therefore, the children of Israel could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you anymore, except ye destroy the accursed thing from among you. Up, sanctify the people, and say, Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus saith Yahweh God of Israel, there is an accursed thing in the midst of thee, O Israel. Thou canst not stand before thine enemies until ye take away the accursed thing from among you. In the morning, therefore, ye shall be brought according to your tribes. And it shall be that the tribe which Yahweh taketh shall come according to the families thereof, and the family which Yahweh shall take shall come by households, and the households which Yahweh shall take shall come man by man. And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire, and he and all he hath, because he hath transgressed the covenant of Yahweh, and because he hath wrought folly in Israel. And Joshua rose up early in the morning and brought Israel by their tribes. And the tribe of Judah was taken, and he brought the family of Judah, and he took the family of the Zerhites, and he brought the family of the Zorites, man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, and the son of Zerah, the tribe of Judah, was taken. And Joshua said unto Achan, my son, give, I pray thee, give, I pray thee, glory to Yahweh God of Israel, and make confession unto him. And tell me now what thou hast done. Hide it not from me. And Achan answered Joshua and said, Indeed, I have sinned against Yahweh God of Israel, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them and took them, and behold, they are hid in the earth. They are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. Let's keep going. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran into the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Joshua, unto all the children of Israel, and laid them out before Yahweh. And Joshua and all the children of Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, and the silver and the garment and the wedge of gold, Shalakia, and the wedge of gold, and his sons and the daughters, and his oxen, and his asses, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, Why hast thou troubled us? Yahweh shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire after they had stoned him with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger. Wherefore the name of that place is called the Valley of Achor unto this day. Let's repeat that again. So Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger. This again is what you would call propitiation, right? So we don't have to complicate things. The Most High does accept human sacrifices. There are instances where he requires them, he demands them, right? He requires zabak, he requires a life, he requires a body offered up for the greater good to put wickedness out of Israel. And we see that the end result in these times often is even just a temporary propitiation, like we saw with the brother Josiah, that young king that killed those men on that altar and burnt their bones the way that was prophesied would happen. He got a temporary propitiation. We see where Phineas was able to get propitiation on behalf of Israel for a human sacrifice. Human sacrifice does not need to take place on an altar. That's a misconception. Human sacrifice does not need to be a burnt offering. No sacrifice does. Sacrifice conceptually is the giving of one thing for another. Propitiation is peace, it's calm, it's the staving off of the wrath of the Most High. It is appeasement, no more, no less. This concludes the presentation on the topic. With that being said, we'll do some Q&A in general. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. I hope.